Hey, Drew, you want to do another San Antonio Tech Dad podcast?
Let's go ahead and do it.
All right, sounds good. Hey, so we are back again. We took a couple of weeks off due to travel schedules and things like that, but we are back. We being you and I. Corey is off to work. He's back on the third shift, so we're gonna have to try to find ways to work around that. But it was fun having him with us day walkers for a while.
It was. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out. Yeah, gonna have to figure out what we can do. So let's see if we can chat at his boss, who sometimes watches our show. So Kent, if you're watching, let's do something about this. Um,
He's hard at work right now, so you're welcome.
yeah, absolutely. Cool. So how you been?
I've been doing good.
Yeah,
Still recovering from jet lag plus just a busy week.
it was. It was. So the last time we talked a little bit about um, the fact that we were uh, needing to find ways to record things for our kids while we were gone, right? Or at least different ways to chat with them while we were gone. We went to a conference, a work conference out in New York City, which was sunny. It was very sunny. It was also very cold, and I was not a fan of that. But it was fun. We It was nice. It's a pretty interesting place.
It is.
Um,
A lot of humanity in a very small space. Good old urban density. I
yes.
like it.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing. I mean, there's a lot of density. There is the Express News, our newspaper here, did a thing recently where they took a an overlay of the 1604 and 410 loops and put them over different cities, and it just absolutely dwarfs the New York metropolitan area. Yeah, so if you need a good visualization of just how horrible sprawl is, go ahead and check that out.
And
Check
that's
out that.
nothing compared to Houston and the DFW area, which you also
Right.
experienced recently.
I did. So that was the thing. So flew from San Antonio to New York. Spent what 2 days, 2.5 days there, and then came back through Dallas. Went up and visited the in-laws up in Plano, and yeah, so that was nice to get up to go up there and visit. Always nice to visit them, but we were uh, getting back to Dallas was rough because the only options that I had were to leave at 6 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the evening. So yeah, you took the early flight, I took the late flight, which got me into Dallas at like 11:30 at night, and um, I was not a very good planner, so I didn't plan to bring any additional clothing with me. So I showed up in the 1.5 outfits that I brought to New York for very specific purposes. None of which were what I was planning on doing in Dallas. So that was interesting. I think I got a couple of recommendations if you're up there in Dallas again next time. But why don't you talk a little bit real quick about why you came back at 6 o'clock in the morning as opposed to being lazy like me?
So this weekend, as most of you know, was Valentine's weekend, and I've got a daughter. So I fully intend to teach her how a gentleman should treat a woman and a lady. And so, in doing so, one of the traditions that we've established in our household has been on Valentine's Day or the weekend of Valentine's Day. My wife takes my son out, and I take my daughter out, and we take them on a date. And so there's a father daughter dance at my church, Grace Point Church, here in San Antonio. And so my daughter's not yet 3, but she's been around for 3 Valentine's Days, and I've taken her to 3 father daughter dances. So that is something that we do to try to teach our kids kind of what that should look like, what um, how they should be treated, and how they should treat people that they might go on a date with. And it's fun to go and get my daughter gets all dressed up, and she's not quite an adult yet, thankfully, but she's a huge fan of things like shoes and bows and all the dressing up. So she was excited to get dressed up. Took her to dinner, and at this point, it wasn't a super nice dinner we took there. It was fine. We enjoyed it. She got a giant cookie out of the deal. But took her to dinner and then took her to the dance, and we spent about an hour and a half cutting a rug. And my daughter is a big fan of dancing. I learned that she likes the conga line. I did not realize that when she grabbed my back pockets and pushed me around the room for a good 15 minutes. But then when a bunch of other girls were doing the conga line and she was very interested, I connected the dots. But we had a good evening, and I flew back bright and early that morning to make sure I was there in time for that. And yeah, it was a quality Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's good. So having no daughters, I have not experienced any daddy-daughter dances, which is probably for the best.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
All of us fathers of daughters appreciate that.
yeah. So no, but it was yeah. You took the early flight out. I actually really wanted to do a lot of stuff in New York, but uh, there was a lot of traffic, a lot of difficulty getting out of the city, and
Not conducive.
it was the Friday before a 3-day weekend. As I learned at the airport,
With snow.
yeah, exactly. There's snow on the way in, and there was snow in other places, which was delaying flights and everything. And yeah. So it was pretty rough. But I'd love to go next time and check out some of the other interesting things around town. But we'll see what happens.
Going in the spring, summer, or fall are all preferable to going in February.
In February, oh man, that was rough. Like I don't, I literally do not own gloves, and it was a time to be wearing gloves in a pedestrian friendly city like New York. Um, so yeah, life lesson there: buy some gloves. Buy some gloves.
Yeah, there really wasn't enough turnaround to do a whole lot of exploring while there, but glad to have made it back to sunny San Antonio. It was in the 20s while we were there, and getting back into town in the 80s was a wonderful welcome relief.
Oh, it was so nice. It was so nice. It was.
San Antonio this year. This is the mildest winter I can
It's
remember.
been very nice. It's certainly milder than the horrible winter we had my first year here, 5 years ago now, when we had that quarter inch of snow and the city shut down. That was really bad. Um,
We can't handle even a slight dusting.
no, that's all it was. And my wife and I would just move from Missouri. We're driving around town wondering where everybody was. Yeah, we had just left, like 6 or 8 inches or something like that, and came down and well, a little bit of snow. All right, we'll go about our business. And
So, quick PSA. I don't know if we've just jinxed it and San Antonio is going to get hammered by some late February, early March winter storm, but more gas does not get you there faster. It gets you into the ditch faster,
it
and
does.
water does not actually freeze in the low 50s. San Antonio, it freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 Celsius, depending on how you measure that thing. Um, it has to be cold for a long time for things to stick.
It does.
So drive careful. If we have a big blizzard around here, there are no ice trucks. Just stay home. Don't drive like a crazy person. Learn how to telecommute. Do whatever you can not to be a menace, please.
Don't be a menace in San Antonio while driving fast in the snow. Um,
That'll never happen. There's not a such thing.
so I certainly hope that you did not jinx us. But in the event that you did, I think that the event that you will cancel would likely be Lumin.
That I've already canceled once by jinxing it.
Yes, absolutely, and that event would be Luminaria, which is a very interesting contemporary arts festival that we've held here in San Antonio for 7 or 8 years or so. And one of the very first things we did on this podcast was to talk about how great it was going to be. And then it subsequently reigned in biblical proportions and canceled the event.
Yeah, I've been before and I've really enjoyed it, and they've really continued to grow the platform, the event, and I'm excited that it's still going to go on. I'm probably not going to be able to make it at the new date, as I'm disappointed to say, but it is fantastic, and I look forward to hearing the reviews, Alan, from you and the family.
Well, I certainly hope that I can make it as well. I don't think I have anything scheduled this Saturday, so we'll see if I can make it out there Saturday. But
Friday or Saturday?
it's actually it's okay. So it's Friday. It's not a 2-day weekend thing. So it's Friday and Wednesday is what it looks like it is. So there's a dance and experimental film on Wednesday the 24th, and then the rest of Luminaria is on Friday night, the 18th, or excuse me, the 19th.
19th would be tomorrow.
That's
If you're watching this live, it would be 2 days from now.
yes.
I'm very still turned around.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not ideal to go from um, traveling to a 3-day weekend and then travel to different cities and everything. So I'm just getting too old for this stuff. So
I don't say that. Don't say that. You're not that much older.
but I am. So I am officially a year older, and I think that you're right behind me. So
We'll very, very soon be celebrating an additional year to my life.
yes, and it's a nice arbitrary celebration of.
I've traveled around the sun another full time. That's a thing.
Yep. Okay, so we wanted to talk about a couple of different things. Luminaria was one of them, so that's absolutely one of the things that we wanted to talk about, and hopefully we'll have a bit of a report back from that. Yeah. But the other thing that you wanted to talk about was a tasty beverage that you had a chance to check out recently.
Yes. So, being a San Antonian and a coffee lover, and being a fan of podcasts, I have recently tracked down Brown Coffee Company is one of the coffee shops here in the San Antonio area, and they've got a Panamanian coffee that is from one of the more well-renowned estates. I'm gonna draw blanks. I'm gonna have to do some web research here to pull the name of the estate, but it's Adelina is the coffee. Well, it's the Adelina estate. But there's a coffee grower. I think his name is Wilford, who is one of the main growers there, and they're producing some geisha coffees and some just beautiful coffees. It's a really fruit forward coffee. So Brown did a great job roasting it with care and making sure they didn't step on any toes when it comes to the roast profile. So it's not you're not tasting the roast; you're tasting as much of the fruit and the coffee as possible. So it's a real fruit forward cup. There's a lot of darker fruit flavors. They still have that kind of chocolatey, roasty component there without it being kind of high note. So you get some of that chocolatiness that maybe a darker roasted coffee would have, but would pair with more of a toasted roasted bitterness. That bitterness does not exist with Adelina. So if you get a chance, you should absolutely check out that coffee. And there's actually I Brew My Own podcast did an interview with the grower a couple weeks ago, and that's an interesting thing to pair with that particular cup.
Well, yeah, have a cup of coffee while you listen to the person who grew and maintained that coffee. That's the way to do it.
You go into Brown Coffee and you run into Aaron, the head roaster. You have a conversation with him, and then you can get a seed to cup view of that particular coffee.
Yeah, definitely. That's some good stuff, and I've been enjoying that a couple of times in the past week. Thanks to you, appreciate that. Appreciate the share there. Yeah, so that's some good stuff, and it's he's had that before, if I'm not mistaken, but it's not a year-round selection.
I think it was a few years ago the last time he had it. I think it's probably been 3, maybe 4 years since I've seen it on the shelves. But it's one of those coffees that the name of the estate alone is enough to kind of grab people's attention, because of some of the awards that they've won, some of the coffees coming out of there. Um, it's Alita and Edlina are both on at the same time. So Edlina is a Guatemalan coffee, and Alita is a Panamanian coffee. So they're two differentiate.
Yeah.
They're
You can just go in and pretty much say, and you're going to get a good cup of coffee. So, but one's.
If you want to pair it with the podcast from the grower, then I recommend getting the Panamanian coffee. You may just ask for that, but that would be the Alita Estate.
There you go.
It's from Buquete, which is the name I was trying to think of from the region.
There you go. There you go. So while we were chatting about Luminaria and brown coffee, I just noticed something pop up from the Rivard report that is announcing. I guess the city council meeting tonight, they announced that that B-Cycle, San Antonio's bike sharing program, they're going to add 3 new stations and 50 new bikes, which is pretty great. I mean, I was kind of actually worried about their future not too long ago. So glad to see that they are not just still around, but actually expanding. So congrats to them on that. I've taken the B-Cycle a couple of times. Just it's nice to be able to park and then in one place and bike around to others. And the last time I took it, I actually went up around to the mission reach of the Riverwalk and rode out to a couple of different missions, and it was just a nice, beautiful ride, and nice to have that option to not have to pack around my own, kind of a spur of the moment thing.
Yeah, and it can extend the reach of a cheaper or more convenient parking spot. So you can park a lot more places, and there's a B-Cycle close, and then you can get to a lot of the different spots downtown or in the core of San Antonio area pretty easily without necessarily having to haul all your gear down or ride your bike from wherever far-flung spot you might find yourself. You can even be passing by and it's a beautiful day and you just want to enjoy it. And that's kind of the thing that's been nice for me. If I'm on my way home, I have to pass downtown, and if it's a beautiful day and I've got time, which is painfully rare, but when it is the case, I can pull over and park somewhere close to a B-Cycle rack, pull a bike out of the rack, and go for a quick ride, which is really, really nice. And then family has, well, my wife and I have parked a little bit out of the main core and got on a B-Cycle and gone to what we were intending to do. Gives you a lot more reach and access.
Yeah, I know a couple of a friends were on their way to register or to pick up their packets for the San Antonio Rock and Roll Marathon. It was either this last November or the one before that. They were on their way to pick them up, and just major traffic. A lot of people are trying to get there to the Alamo Dome to pick everything up. So instead of driving all the way in and trying to find a parking spot and walking over there, they parked as soon as they could, a couple miles out, hopped on some bikes and rode in, picked up their packets and rode back. And some other people that we work with who were leaving at about the same time took like another hour to get back, and they were super confused as to how they were able to do that. So that was neat.
Playing vulture, just waiting for someone to vacate a spot or dropping a bunch of coin on a close parking spot for something like packet pickup, it doesn't sit well. Like that's a bad situation if you can avoid it, and that's a pretty good use case.
Yeah, exactly. So that story was in the Rivard report, which is a local publisher, a media outlet, right? And it's been growing for about the last 4 years, I want to say. And I think they have some of the most comprehensive reporting in San Antonio. and they just recently announced within the last week or so that they have completed everything they need to become a nonprofit corporation and are now looking for memberships to help expand. They've already added a couple of additional reporters and journalists and a couple of photojournalists. So they're doing great stuff, and it looks like you can become a member for pretty reasonable subscriptions. So $50 a month, and up. Of course, they'll take whatever you want to give to help sustain locally sourced news. But I think this is a great way to get the news. I mean, it's absolutely from people that live in the area, that are out and about in the area with us as San Antonians. And I kind of took out a little bit of frustration on on our local paper the other day with they just posted 5 or 6 different ridiculous clickbait articles in a row that had no relationship at all to news. And I haven't really seen any clickbait in the Rivard report yet. So that's good to see. They're not trying to being able to grow within the last 4 years. I think they're really able to make their own model and kind of choose what they want to cover and really choose what they don't want to cover and don't want to share. So that's something that I'm a big fan of. So I think that it
being a for-profit definitely affects your ability to report on just the news. When you're for-profit, I think there's some temptation to pass around some clickbait and see if you can't get more click-throughs and drive more ad dollars and that kind of thing.
maximize shareholder value.
That's there. It's a reality, and it's at least a temptation. Even if people can avoid it, it doesn't take that dynamic off the table.
Right.
And so to be a nonprofit where that's not the goal, probably doesn't take that off the table either. But it does continue to incentivize and put more distance between that particular variable and their ability to just report the news that they see as important. So congratulations and good luck to their continued efforts. I've enjoyed a vast majority of the reporting that I've pulled out of their Twitter feed and off of their site.
Yep. +1. Could not agree more. Let's see. So yeah, definitely go out there and sign up.
Well, hey, we talked about birthdays. We mentioned them. Does your family have any traditions or anything like that you do when a member of the family makes another rotation around the sun?
I think we did at one point in time for the 2 adults in this family. At this point in time, though, we're pretty much letting the inmates run the asylum, and so we have kind of taken a back seat on that, which is fine because we're getting really old and we don't want to talk about it anymore. But for the kids, what we've been doing is really trying to spend the whole day with them. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do now that our oldest is in kindergarten, right? Because there are different rules around attendance, and we would like to honor those and teach him to honor those rules as well. But what we started doing was, when he was in daycare, we would my wife and I would take the day off of work ourselves, where we have built-in days off, and so we take the day off and take him out. We've gone to the zoo quite a bit because we've been season pass holders for a very long time. Another thing that I have no problem mentioning it in San Antonio here, but yes, he loves going to the zoo. Really loved it. I think he's might be growing out of that a little bit, but so yeah, we take him to the zoo and go and hang out there and spend the whole day with him. And we the most recent birthday that he had, I think we took him to see a movie. He really wanted to see some movie, but we we're taking him and his younger brother to school, and so we dropped off his younger brother, and then instead of going across the hall to his room, we said, okay, all right, we got a big surprise for you. We're going to take you out for your birthday, and so he just loved that and was. We took him out to breakfast and everything, and kind of had to lie to him at first, be like, "Oh, sorry, we're out of time. We don't have time to feed you this morning." And so yeah, why'd you feed my brother? So, so that's what we've been doing most of the time. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see what we do. But fortunately, his birthday is in the spring, so I think we'll either have some spring break time that we can celebrate that, or might even be close enough to Good Friday that we can make that work.
Cool.
How about you? What traditions is your?
So we had no traditions until we had kids. We just did stuff and had fun. With kids, we've done much the same thing. So we'll try to do something just as the small family, not the extended parents, grandparents, everybody else, just the four of us. Right around the birthday, and then we'll do a party or something with a broader group. So that's been pretty traditional for us since my son was born, my oldest. We've done that for both of our kids, and we have a fancy red plate that is the I'm Special plate that the birthday person, boy or girl, gets to eat off of. We risked my daughter using the I'm Special plate this most recent birthday, her 2-year-old birthday, and she was able to not destroy it, and so that's very good. We're glad to continue to use that I'm Special plate. And then usually they get to choose what's on the menu for their birthday dinner. We'll go out to eat sometimes too, but usually that additional value of, but mom, I want mac and cheese, goes over pretty high with both of the kids. I'm having pad thai, so we're sticking with a little bit of the same noodle thing, but that was my request, so we're gonna be doing that.
Very nice. Well, we did. I did kind of get to dictate lunch on the way back. So my birthday was on Monday, as I was driving back from Dallas to San Antonio, which was significantly less horrible than it has been in the past. So that was something to celebrate. We stopped in Georgetown, Texas, right? So just up there at the very north end of Austin, and it's a place that I've driven past many times and have never really experienced. And it's a beautiful little town there. They've got a nice square, right? A town square, and on that town square is a place called 600 Degree Pizzeria and Draft House, which I did not avail myself of the drafts, but I did have some delicious pizza. And they did something that I love, and this is I love when they encourage their patrons to trust the chef. And so they had a chef special, which is just you tell them, hey, do you have any allergies? Do you have anything that you absolutely don't want today? And then once you've told your server that, they go ahead and turn the chef loose. And I ended up with a delicious Canadian bacon. By the way, they call it real bacon and Canadian bacon, which I think we can all agree on. Real bacon, Canadian bacon.
Canadian, I imagine you can.
Yes, exactly. Real bacon, Canadian bacon, and spinach, fresh basil, strawberries, and goat cheese pizza, and it was delicious. And I was very happy to. I did. I was glad I trusted the chef. I had a bite of the cheese pizza as well, and it was delicious also. So, I mean, when you're starting with a good crust, good cheese, and as long as you have, you don't skimp on the ingredients, you're going to make a good pizza no matter what combination you end up with. But really letting a chef that understands flavor profiles and kind of has a game plan, that helps a lot too. So anyway, next time you happen to be in Georgetown, Texas, you can go ahead and get yourself a crazy pizza made custom just for you.
If you're traveling north from here, you'll likely end up in Georgetown.
That is true. That is true. Whether you take the toll road or tough it out straight through Austin, either one would work. Yeah, either one would work. Okay.
Hey, Alan, do you have a dad joke?
Oh man, I've got a bunch of them. Man, I don't know. Did you hear about the did I tell the one about the butcher at HEB last week?
The butcher at HEB one. I don't.
Yeah, so I was at HEB and they it took me forever to get my meat at the butcher counter because there was a terrible accident. The butcher, he backed up while he was working and he got his backside caught into the meat grinder and he got a little behind in his work.
That'll happen if you're not careful.
How about you, Drew? You got one? You got one for us?
Yeah, there were a couple of goldfish in a tank, and the first goldfish turns to the second goldfish and asks, "Hey, does anybody know how to drive this thing?"
A tank.
A tank.
A tank. Yes. Oh, those are so good. Those are so good. All right. Well, since we told horrible dad jokes, I think that's our signal to wrap it up here. If by any chance you were listening, thank you, and let us know. So go ahead and write a review on whatever platform you're catching us on, whether that is iTunes or perhaps even Pocket Casts. I think we're going to try to get us on Stitcher. That might be a good platform to get it on as well. But check us out wherever you are, wherever you get your podcasts, and let us know. Hit us up on Twitter at SATechDad, and just let us know that you watched the show. So on that note, Drew, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Sounds good.
Take it easy. See you next time.